welcome everyone. This right here, right now, it's the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. And if you are coming from anywhere else in the world, I want that information. We have a little schnoop here with us, a little doggy doodle. We got to get a dog cam going. Maybe I'll set this one up as our doggy cam, so you can see what's happening in the world of the dog without tangling my ass up. Is that good for doggy cam? As I set this up, you can look into the messy corner of my room. It's funny, there was a cartoon in I think the New Yorker, and it was just like, it showed like somebody on their view screen. It was just like all like chaos in their room outside of the view of the screen. So we've been doing construction. There's a lot of little stuff here. So as I begin to load up this second cam here, it's not that bad. Okay, couple things that are construction-y. Welcome folks, welcome real quick. I want to keep the dog in a safe place. 1 sec here. Welcome folks, great to see you. Welcome Jean, nice to see you here. Okay, it's not that bad, but I want a doggy cam. Will this capture the doggy? Dog's right here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, doggy cam, folks. Oh, this is what you don't see. It looks all peaceful on my side. I can't transition because the dog is yanking my arm. Let me transition. This is what it looks like outside of the camera view. Good doggy. Good doggy. Okay. Welcome, folks. Nick says, hello. Friday, folks. Karlstad, Sweden, as usual. Workaholics waiting for the weekend. Not appreciating the present moment. Wow, she's really playful. I could get my air quotes going. Playful today. She goes, one of my favorite things with the dog. Okay, I'm sure this is what you signed up for, is to see me play with the dog. She freaks out when you touch her body when you're playing tug. So. Is this really good for setting us up for the meditation? Hello from the universe. Does the dog have a Buddha nature? Yes, I think it does. Oh, what a sweetie. Okay, this is fun for me. I don't know how much fun this is for anyone other than me. So let's transition back. Look how much more organized this looks. It looks as though I'm just in this like chill little bubble. There's no insane dog here. What a sweetie. That's so funny. She's just like, please play with me. Not now, sweetie. So folks, great to see you here. Welcome here. We got Zen Mind joining us, asking if the dog is Buddha nature. Denny joining us from Upper New York, not Upper New York City. And then Nick. No. Okay. Folks, today is Freaky Friday, or maybe it is a Freaky Friday. Today's the day where you take over the teaching role. So any requests that you have, anything that you're thinking like, geez, these are challenges or interests or opportunities, things that are happening in your program, in your meditation process. What else? As I'm tugging with this little pupper. What else? So let me know what's going on in your practice, because I'll build a meditation based on that. And for now, I'm going to transition to a little chatting and dog cam. Hopefully people who tune in aren't like, what the hell is this? Okay, so folks, can you get it? Can you get it? Oh, you got it. Hello, 2020CL from the from Breath, Britain. I think they said the dearth of Britain. From Breath, Britain. So, folks, tell me what's going on in your practice and your life, challenges, interests, parts of your practice that you want to consider, look at. What's going on in your practice? No. What a cutie. What do we want to practice around today? Nick says, hey, why does 5 minutes at work on Friday feel like an hour relative time is a bad invention? Exactly. It's funny. I've never really heard someone give a really good definition, because I don't know the science side of relative time, but why we experience time also very relatively. Like, what's the relationship between those two? what is that name? It's Exalted H3O, H Bro, Exalted H Bro. My practice: anticipation, anxiety, fear, terror, a sense of impending doom. I have to stop due to being too scared. I don't know if that's good or bad. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. We have some definite solutions for you, Exalted H Bro. Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. So the dog is gone. We can get back to business. And the dog is back. Okay, great. So we'll definitely talk about that, Exalted. That's a great explanation. And P.S., that's the exact kind of thing, like what else is going on in people's practice. So, and as soon as you're tired of watching me play with the dog while I talk to you, just say so, because, you know, I'm a slave to your desires. And of course, you know, this is your stream. I've been practicing non-dual awareness. Okay, excellent. Zen Mind has been practicing non-dual awareness. If folks don't know, so basically, this is my definition. This is not like a traditional non-dual definition, but I can even sneak over here. That's a lot of sneaking for me to get into the frame. Hello. I could do the stream bent over like this. Hey, what's up, folks? This is our new framing, so you can see the dog and I can talk at the same time. But now the dog's amplified. Great. Okay. So the point of it all is that let's talk about it from the perspective of my perspective. Okay, so our mind tends to split the world into various objects. We've talked about this recently. It tends to break the world down into objects. So what Zen Mind is talking about is the experiencing of the world without that division of inside and outside, of duality, as it were. It's funny because it's called duality, but basically as soon as you split the world into two objects, it immediately just starts splitting the world into thousands of objects. Any objects means endless objects. Countless, I think, is a good way to put it. Not that they're endless, but that you can't actually get to the end of them because the mind just keeps making them. I need to partake of my hot water. So maybe we could do something around that, although for you, Zen Mind, especially if you're already in contact with that, it's going to be a little bit might be annoying because I'll be, leading people to that spot. And of course, I do it in a very non-dual way. Non-dual folks are just like, be there now. I systematically kind of move people along from your average, your average schmuck. No, I'm just kidding. Average viewing experience to show how you can see that non-dual experience. Scott Nesbin is here. Good morning. I love the doggy cam. Excellent. Exalted says, also can't sleep well because I accidentally start meditating and got scared. Okay. Exalted, question for you. Someone recently was emailing me about similar things, about challenges with sleep and meditation. Is that you? That's what I want to know. From Reddit. Is it the same person? I'll give me a little context. If not, no big deal. But who's tracking how many milliliters I'm actually drinking? Not me. Okay, good. Good to hear. I mean, either way. So, okay. Exalted, question for you, because I think we're going to zero in on this here. Again, it's Freestyle Friday. Give me your request, things that are going on in your practice. Sometimes I like when they're too confusing and contradictory, and we can find a way to weave them together. Exalted, I have a question for you, which is, what's your practice experience like? Do you practice every day? Do you have you practiced for a long time? Did you have some experience that was very intense in meditation, and since then it's sort of been like this? Those kind of things. Nick says, can you say conceptualization is the root of duality, multiplicity? Not necessarily by language. I'm sure the cat is having some sort of self-concept. Conceptualization, is that the nature of duality? Duality requires conceptualization. So imagine, okay, this is, again, we're using language, so it's gonna mess stuff up, because language is dividing the world into understanding and not understanding, and concepts and inside and outside and this kind of thing. And oh no, it's a moth. See, we've had moths for a while, and every once in a while one pops up, and you have to go after it as fast as you can, because
We have all these beautiful wool rugs.
No, don't escape, Mothy. I'm afraid for our beautiful rugs. This beautiful wool rug right behind us. So we've been like, I don't know how we've tried. So, Freestyle Friday. Question is conceptualization. I'm going to give it a fast and dirty yes. Sure. Conceptualization is the root of all unequal. Yeah, I mean, the mind is the thing that splits things apart. However, yeah, I wonder, conceptualization can lead the path to non-dual awareness, but it has to eventually surrender. That's one of the things that's interesting is we use the mind, we use our ability to analyze, to move us down a path that eventually we have to abandon the conceptualizing mind. Otherwise, we're sort of stuck in that world. A lot of the time when we're really overwhelmed, this might answer Exalted's question to some degree. A lot of the time when we're really overwhelmed and too much, it ends up that it's the mind that's actually what we're actually at the end of the rope that we're at is the mind reaching the end of its capability. There's some other way of being has to happen, but this mind that is active, this sub-mind or self or part of us, has reached the end of its rope, but it is also feels like identification, so it feels like I've reached the end of my rope, when actually it's just a part of us that is also putting out this identification vibe. It says it's me. So it feels like I've reached the end of my rope, whereas just some part of us, like my arm can only lift so much weight, and if my arm is trying to lift more weight than it can, or it's exhausted, etc., and it's just like, I'm trying, that's not a big problem because I have other arms and I can do other things and I can rest this arm, unless this arm thinks it's the only thing in the world and it thinks it's me, and I can't get outside of whatever, I can't get outside of that. And so that's often what happens when we're overwhelmed, is we're occupying one part and that part feels overwhelmed. So that might be an interesting way to go. Okay, I'm going to go in a weird direction here. I don't know if I've ever guided a meditation like this. So folks, find a nice, comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. Practice for about 9 months so far, about 2 hours per day on average. Usually do nothing. Okay, I've been thinking here I want to start having the computer read this stuff, because especially for longer ones, I just get confused and I start thinking about managing the stream and blah, blah, blah. Okay, computer, do your dirty work.
Practiced about 9 months so far, about 2 hours per day on average, usually do nothing or just trying to be aware type stuff, some focusing stuff too. Also no major intense moments other than the very first time I had a sense of impending doom. That's when I was that deepest in. Prickly feelings all over the body and felt like I was about to die or disappear.
Yeah, well, I would count that as a relatively dramatic moment. Okay, so a lot of time, so there's two big things that would bring about this kind of turbulence in your practice. Okay, so I'm going to answer this because somebody asked the same question on Reddit, so I want to answer this in a way that hopefully will reply. So one is potentially I don't want to say you're in the stage of the dark night. I couldn't tell. We could talk about it, but some of it could be what's called dark night material in meditation. The other side of it could just be standard old trauma or developmental trauma. Where does overwhelm in meditation come from? Why is it that when we close our eyes, it's like way too much for us? So let's do the more common one, which is just trauma. And again, it doesn't have to be like some big event happened. It could actually just be that there's an atmosphere where we felt it was unsafe, or what we weren't allowed to feel our feelings or emotions as children over a long period of time. I think that often people who are minorities in America have just trauma from existing, because they're in a world where there could be danger at any time, even if they never personally directly experience it. That can be extremely traumatic. So even that's an extreme example, but you get the idea. Trauma, it could be the case that if we close our eyes, it feels too overwhelming because the system, the body mind, or that part of us is managing the world through seeing and through looking and conceptualizing and organizing the world. So if that part lets go, then it feels very unsafe to that part, the part that is trying to produce and create safety. So a lot of our difficulty is finding the part that needs safety, and then meeting that need for safety, and then the part that wants exploration and transformation and, the sort of interesting or the sort of transformational side of meditation. I don't want to say that because I feel like dealing with trauma is transformational. The part of us that wants the sort of transcendent and deconstructive experiences that come with meditation, the freedom sort of drive, meeting that need as well. So how do we meet both of those needs? That's what we would do if the case were around trauma. And what that means is if you're practicing, you want to find a way to practice that doesn't bring up overwhelm. I always say overwhelm has 4 settings, setting 1, 2, 3, and 11. So we have to start paying attention when it's getting to 1, when it's getting to 2, before it's getting to 3, because what it does then is just shoot straight up to 11. So if we're finding that overwhelm is arising, what we can do is practice with the eyes, open potentially. Or maybe we just make a little shift in the body, that's enough. Or maybe we practice with the eyes open, resting on a single point. Maybe we practice with a meditation object that's outside of us rather than inside, because sometimes that can feel very overwhelming. Maybe we look at color, or we do sound or body sensation in the feet away from the core, because often panic and stuff happens in the chest and throat and stuff. So sensations that are further away from up here. Those are all great strategies to lessen the intensity of meditation, but we want to get there very early, not waiting till we're totally overwhelmed. The next thing, the dark night stuff, is something that actually happens not necessarily only at that stage, the stage of the dark night, but also can happen at any time in our practice. And it's a kind of existential turbulence where one part of ourself, often one that is trying to make sense and hold on to the world, is now mixing and interacting with a part of us that is wanting freedom. You might hear that there's a lot of overlap sounding between this description of trauma that I gave in this, and that's because I'm not sure if there's actually a difference. I have half a theory that dark night material is just actually the system, karmically, to use that funny word, working through any kind of trauma. Potentially not, maybe not at all. So in that case, it's helpful to recognize that we can use meditation to get through the challenge. I'm going to go into this in more detail after. What does one do in order to, what are the steps one would do in order to deconstruct dark night material, at least according to my teacher Shinzen Young, because I want to get into the meditation we're going on a little bit, and I want to make sure we actually practice. 2020 CL says, duality equals spirit/mind versus matter. Spirit, mind versus matter. I don't know if I would say that. Big Greg, thank you for following. Thanks so much. Nice to have you here. Great to be here. So I don't know if I would make that distinction. Duality is mind versus matter. I would, for me, it's simpler that it's mind organizing. When the mind organizes, it has to do so by splitting up the world. It doesn't have to. It could do it by dividing everything into one giant. No, that would be non-duality. So the mind, or if we define the mind as including awareness, awareness can actually wipe away all distinctions and bring us to a place where everything is one collective. So how do I make guided meditation that deals with non-duality and the part of us that might be turbulent and potentially dark night stuff or even trauma stuff? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to guide, but again, especially for Exalted, make sure that this is going to be a challenge for you to make sure that you do not push yourself so far. You want to, as soon as you can, you're going to slide out of, you're going to move away from any overwhelm. You want to even stop the practice if you need to. So you're starting to learn to listen to your system as overwhelm increases. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay, folks, so find a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. I'm going to encourage everyone to sit in stillness, but especially Exalted, I want you to hear this. You're allowed to move under 2 conditions. 1, overwhelm starts to increase, and it feels like this is a little bit too much. That's one of the main conditions. So you can go ahead and make a jiggle of the body, open the eyes, stop practicing, whatever you'd like. The other condition is that it's just so distracting that you can't not move, or it's messing with your whole practice. So go ahead and do so, move, but do so very slowly. Try trying to cough now instead of cough during the guided meditation. So move slowly. Wait 30 seconds, move in slow motion as you're going to scratch the itch. Notice the impulse to go faster, which is an impulse to become unconscious for a second and itch and go back. Don't introduce unconsciousness if at all possible. But especially exalted, I want you to be gentle, and if you need to stop the practice, just go ahead. The training now is not how to meditate better. It's how to be attuned to the window of tolerance. How much is okay for you to handle, and you don't want to push against the edge, like push, how much can I handle? You want to start listening to the very subtle side. This is a little too much. I'm going to pull back a little bit. So let's start from there. So folks, find that nice, comfortable position. If you've never meditated before, listen, I promise you, you're going to have an experience. If you have, great. We're happy to have you here. And beep up is join us. It's going to be a good time. So finding that nice comfortable position. One thing I'll also mention is that distractions are going to arise for everybody. Normal, ordinary, and working with them is the key here. So let us begin. I'm going to cough more times so that I can not have to do it during the... I'll probably have to cough during the guidance. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. Okay, folks, let us begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. And just feeling the body rise and fall. When we begin any meditation, we begin with the momentum of all the previous moments. So if we have used up the energy in the body will be sleepy or foggy, tired. If the mind has been quite active, then in this moment, the mind may continue to be active. And that's fine. Simply knowing this is important. As we physically relax the body, relaxing more than we can even physically feel, know that at times it can feel pleasant to relax the body, and at times it can feel a little unnerving, as though we're going to let go too deeply. So just know that it's fine. We can let go as deeply as we can. Sometimes we might even feel as though we're falling, and that's fine. It's not a problem. And seeing if we can tune into the overall experience of the body. So the mind's tendency is to divide our body's sensations into parts. The sensations in our left hand, the sensations in our belly, etc. So using a different part of the mind and getting an overall sense of the body. And what will happen is, at any given moment, the mind will be drawn towards a particular sensation. And what I'd like us to do is treat that as an invitation. The mind is drawn, let's say for a moment, the mind is drawn to the sensations of the left hand. So from there, allowing the sensations that surround it into that knowing. So there's the sensations of the left hand, and then perhaps the sensations of where the left hand rests, along with perhaps if it's resting on the body, those sensations, or the rest of the arm, until we can include the overall experience of the body. So we're going to divide our practice into two experiences. One we'll call this, meaning any particular sensation that the mind is drawn to. And the other side of this we'll call all, which in this case, the word all will refer to a generalized sense of the body's experience at this moment, not worrying about trying to capture every little bit. The word this refers to a particular sensation, and the word all refers to a general sense of the body's experience in this moment. At any particular moment, we could use one or the other label in the mind. So if we like to use mental labels, it might sound something like this. All, this, all, this. You get the idea. And at first this might seem challenging as the mind begins to settle. It's not quite used to this process. So we simply ask in this moment, what is the experience of the body? Looking for an answer that comes in the form of body sensation. At times the mind will be drawn towards particular sensations, and that's fine. We simply label those sensations this. When we notice this, we try to include the sensations that are around it until we find our way back to all. And what you might find at times is that the mind gets fixated on what all means. Does it really include all sensation? We don't have to worry about this. This is a general capture, a soft snapshot, whatever is easily, readily available. Call this all. Seeing if we can strike a balance between staying with the overall experience of the body and efforting. Sometimes we try so hard. So finding a way to balance, to remain with the overall sense of the body without pushing, gripping. Where can we find this sensation within the fog? And at times we'll become distracted, losing the process in general, but simply coming back. What is the experience of the body in this moment? Noticing that as we practice this, it becomes easier to settle here. But perhaps it doesn't. Perhaps for us, it's simply challenging. So whatever challenge arises, treating that as the particular, as this. A distracting sound, an emotion that says this is going terribly, or the mind saying, I'm a great meditator. Just zooming out to include the sensations around it until we can find a general sense of the sensations of the body. And perhaps uncomfortable emotions may arise in the body, and that's fine. It's understandable. Just treating those as the particular, treating those as this. and letting those sensations be experienced among all the other body sensations. Often our overwhelm is a difficult set of emotions that the mind zooms in on and can't let go of. So if we're pulled in to the center of something, zoomed in and can't get out of that gravitational well, we can ask, what is this gravitation pulling from? What are the outer edges? What is it that this sensation is separate from? Now making a slight shift. Taking the body to be what we've called so far as this, noticing that the body feels central. It's at the center of our experiential universe. Perhaps there's even a sense of me, of I. And so we'll now refer to this experience as the particular. This is the center experience, me, a world which revolves around me. A world which extends out from this central point. So treating this central experience as this kind of gravitational well, this thing which pulls us towards the middle over and over again. So many of our experiences are centered around me, I. And if this is the gravitational center, using the subtle awareness of the mind to see if we can detect what is it pulling from, allowing the mind to take in all of the world from our experience. An overall sense of everything. If there's a central character, a me, allowing the mind to take in all sensing experience and detect this me among all of these other pieces, all of this other sense data. So at this stage, there's no more distraction, meaning whatever distractions or particular sense experiences arise, we simply detect them among all of the others. The mind is drawn to a sound, that's fine. Simply listening to it among all the other sounds and body sensations mental imagery, sense of space. If there's a sense of an observer, the one who is observing, that's fine. Simply experiencing that among all of the other sense data. Any particle we find, simply introducing it to the whole. And what if this soft, open awareness, this experiencing of the world as a whole, in other words, what if this awareness that we had contact with what if this was more than just another experience? What if this was actually home? What if this is actually our true self? Noticing that this spacious awareness experience, this overall sensing, it doesn't have preference. It doesn't need the world to be different. It simply knows the experience. Now, of course, we might want the world to be different at this moment. There might be a part of us that doesn't like what's happening, is annoyed, or loves what's happening, is delighted, wants more of it. Just knowing this as a particular and detecting it among all of the sensations. Whatever our read of this experience is, it's good, it's bad, it's neutral. Simply experiencing that among all the sensations. knowing that this is what our mind does. It divides the world. Me versus the world, or this part of me versus that part of me. Good and evil. I'm achieving the thing or I'm failing. Notice these as particulars, the mind dividing our experience, judging as it's bound to do. So not stopping the mind from judging, simply knowing whatever experience arises within the context of the whole. And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Again, the practice will end when the bell goes silent. Noticing if the body and mind has jumped into action. Has made a quick list of all the things that need to happen. I need to stretch, I need to move, and it's gripping on that particular need. Seeing if we can let go of that need, let go of that impulse by experiencing it among all of the other senses. In this way, letting this particular moment be the great teacher. It shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so making any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. Unfolding any sleepy legs. So, now is the time when each and every person here uses their digital technology and types into the magic machine, what the hell just happened? What was that? What was the experience? Lots of sleepiness, difficulty, whatever it is. I'm going to encourage folks that even if you think that your report is not interesting, to write it down. Trust me, there's a lot more information there than you think there might be. As a teacher, you can tell things in people's experience, especially if they're just honest about what happened. That is impossible if they don't tell you. So what was that experience like? What happened and what are you like now? For some it might have been relaxing, for some it might have been very frustrating, but the skill that we were working on here was noticing any particular experience that arose and then experiencing it within a larger context of sensation around it. I packed a lot in. I might normally divide this into like 5 practices where you just notice any sensation in the body and then zoom out a little bit. So oh, I noticed the sensation of my pinky finger, or this isn't my pinky finger, of my finger, and then allowing the sensations all around it to sort of become apparent, teaching the mind to go from an individual thing out, individual out, individual out. Because why not the other way around? Well, the mind tends to do the zooming thing. It tends to zoom into specific little things, and then it zooms and it zooms and it zooms and it zooms. And if we do that all day long, the mind is exhausted because it's so used to zooming into little things, which is very tiring. It's a lot of work. The skill we're training, though, is the awareness, the larger taking in of data, which is a much faster way of mental processing. So this is something that people in sports know very clearly. In sword fighting, samurai sword fighting, they would talk about it as being this far mountain gazing, where you're looking at the whole, wide spread of mountains in your entire view, rather than pinpointing and looking at the opponent like that, so you can see everything all together rather than looking at one little thing. So in sports, they say, oh, I'm overthinking of it, or I wasn't in the zone, this kind of thing. A lot of what's being talked about is that if you can open your awareness up, you can do things faster and more intuitively than you ever could if you were zoomed in and really tightly focused on X, Y, and Z. So a lot of achievement in sports in lots of fields, but I'm using this metaphor or not even metaphor, it's literally the case, that it has to do with allowing the mind to take in more data and let it process on its own, rather than I need to sort of manage that. Okay, computer, speak to me. Nick says, oh, I didn't transition here. Let me make sure that everyone can see the chats on the screen. Okay, great. Nick just said,
found myself noting almost every time. Don't know why. Funny you mentioned gravitational pull. Because just prior to that I remember feeling like being just on the event horizon of a black hole. Every sensation passed through me on its way into oblivion, or whatever happens in a black hole.
Great. So what you're describing there is, Nick, again, I'm always hesitant to say like you were at a stage of the process, but this is what you're describing is what might be called awareness of arising and passing. So the system is aware of sensations as they come into consciousness and as they break down, as they disappear into nothing or emptiness, or not present conscious detectionness. So consciousness only has so much real estate, and it's as though it's like a frame, and things come into the frame and then they disappear out of the frame. That doesn't mean that the sensation isn't gone, but it's out of consciousness. So we can pay attention to this in 2 ways. So you can also notice, Nick, that as you're hanging out there, notice if it feels like the sensations come from nowhere. This moment seems to appear out of nowhere, and then is here, and then again something appears out of nowhere. And that appearing over and over again creates a sense of solidity. And the mind sort of zooms into this particular moment and says, okay, this is the world, this is the world, this is the world, this is the world. And if we can take more of it in, not only like a sports player, that wider awareness can actually detect further below the floor of unconsciousness. We can detect more data, but we can start to even experientially intuit and then actually observe the way it comes out of nothing and then collapses back into nothing. It's a very important insight. Okay, Exalted said the following.
Some trouble focusing, but general awareness was pretty good. Started feeling a pleasurable, energetic feeling pretty fast. Usually starts with that, and I got a slight sinking feeling, and I know what that leads to, so got kind of anxious but kept going. Nothing happened though, and kept going till the end. Still lingering pleasurable feelings, fading away now though.
Super good report. I just want to send a little appreciation here. Oh, I missed Nate's report. I'll do that in a second. I just want to say some appreciation for folks just giving their reports. I think this is and these are very clear reports, super helpful. This is, a lot's happening in your practice, but even if it was just, I was sleepy and then this and then that, great. We really want to honor saying the report is so much more powerful for me as a teacher and for you to have that clarity. So, what I want you to do exalted is whatever thing is arising, whether it's the sense of, oh, the dread that's I know what comes next, or any of these things, detect those in the overall awareness. Often the sense of like too much anxiety is often we're zoomed in and we're just so locked in this little view to detect that among all the other senses over and over and over again. And for a while it'll seem maybe like it's having no effect, but what we're doing is training the body-mind, training the system to let go of the tendency to grip onto things, which is how we break down a lot of this anxiety or these kind of things. So whatever it is, the sense of, sorry, I was also going to mention, you mentioned energetic stuff in the body earlier on. A lot of the time that stuff just wants to move and flow around the body just to be dissipated. And in order to do that, it needs the space. It needs enough space to do that. So that's part of why holding a large awareness actually gives it the room to jiggle around and move and just sort of dissipate rather than building up. Sometimes I used to have this thing where there's something called in Pali, ancient language that Buddhism was written down in. It's called piti, P-I-T-I, and it's like translated as many things. One of my favorite translations is glee. It's like this energetic buzzing. If you ever had runner's high or gotten out of a sauna and got into a cold pool right after, the body's like buzzing with this, you could call it energy, but I don't know what else to call it, just like the sensation. And that sensation, beep pop, what was I saying? Oh, I could notice it in my hands, and as I noticed it there, it would just get more and more and more intense. And I thought, this must be right because I'm doing something's happening, and this is, it's so intense, the sensation in my hands. And what I realized after talking to teachers and practicing more was that actually it wanted to spread out all over the body. It wanted to be head to toe. And when I could allow it to spread out, which at first I was like, how the hell do you spread it out? You do exactly what we did today. Okay, I detect some of that sensation here. I'm going to feel not just my hand, I'm going to feel my hand and my elbow until the sensation sort of spreads and equalizes a little bit. Well, now what? Okay, I can feel this area. I'm going to feel from tip of my finger to my shoulder and let that sort of sensation spread out. And eventually the system gets trained to be able to feel it everywhere. And if I close my eyes now, I can feel it effectively from head to toe, very subtly. If I tuned into that, it would increase, etc. So that's excellent. Remember, detect that particle in the whole of all of our experience. And a lot of our problems just get crushed that way. Okay, beep up is, let's see here. Nate says, hit me computer.
I had the experience of or self floating off into the pool of all the other sense experiences. I'm not sure about how to process what happened or how to explain it. It was almost like a puff of mist or a cloud moving away.
Great. So that experience that you're describing, the me or the self floating into the larger pool, that was clarity into the inside of self and non-self, or the spectrum. We've talked a lot about the spectrum of selfing, right? So the solidity of me, of a central character, then starts to dissolve in this overall sensing sort of mist or pool of material, because the self is not very solid. If we observe it very long, usually when we observe self, it sort of compresses in and feels very solid. If we look at it very closely, where is it, sort of what's its quality, it kind of breaks down. But another way to do that is to allow that experience to exist in a larger sort of atmosphere, and it can't hold together. So at some point it just goes poof and just becomes part of the same sort of, like you said, a mist or a haze of material. And so the solidity of self breaks down. And that's a very common experience, actually. We just don't notice it because, again, the mind typically breaks things into pieces and only notices what's in the foreground. Excellent. Any other reports or questions? Oh, God, I didn't scroll down. I got tons here. Thanks, folks. I really love these reports. I really appreciate folks chiming in. It makes it so much more fun for me and everyone, I think. Scott Nesman says,
I was working while doing the meditation, trying to stay aware of overall body sensations while continuing to work. At one point the mind got extremely quiet, and I stopped working and tuned into that. It was very blissful. Otherwise, it was very helpful being more aware while getting things done.
Super great. And that's something I want to mention to people. There is this lingering idea that meditation is the thing we do on the cushion. And even here, this isn't a live stream where I'm walking around and talking and stuff. So I'm emphasizing that without even meaning to, because it's in a way, it's a cleaner palette to start with. usually when people, you teach painting to people, you start with like a clean palette and a blank canvas. You don't start with like a canvas piled high with leaves and, you know, bells and whistles and weird things. And, you know, it's, hello, my dear. Hello, my Scoopy. Uh-oh, you know what it's time for, folks? It's time for dog cam as we answer questions here. Where's that dog cam? There we go. Dog cam time. Okay. Come on, Seal. Where's the toy? What'd you do with the toy? Babe, where's the green toy or any tug toy, actually? Will you give me any old tug toy? Okay, let's pause for now. So, thank you, babe. Raquel's is popping in and out here. Okay, back to dog cam. Wait, first I want to make sure I'm answering the question because I want to play with the dog, and I think you guys want your questions answered. Scott has been said. Meditation. Oh, yeah. So this idea that it's all based on sitting still is a little crazy, but it's very pernicious, and we want to learn to meditate all the time. We want to learn to train the mind to do this as much as we can. So right now, and your best shot of doing this is doing it right at this moment. If you're looking at any particular thing, if your mind is drawn to any particular meaning of any of the words I'm saying, just detect it in the larger context of what you're experiencing, an more overall experience. This isn't the only technique. This isn't the best technique. It's a good one, and it's the technique we're doing today. So today, I would encourage folks between now and the next live stream as much as you can. Any particular thing, I was just drawn to this little dog toy ball. If you're drawn to that, see it in the context of all of the experiencing. So the mind makes a target out of things. It divides the world into little objects. So one way to break that down is to see the object in the overall experience, and its objectiness, its divided sort of quality, breaks apart. It is no longer so solid in that way, and you can do that while you're working, which I think it's harder. So Scott, congrats, and that's great. That's very good. Exalted says the pleasurable energy is usually only in the head for me. Okay, good. So remember what I said, you can spread that out. So feel it, share the pleasurable energy in the head, but feel it in the head, and then it's going to be subtler, but see if you can detect it also like in the chest. And you'll start to sort of maybe notice it there, not really sure, could be, might not be. And I realize what I'm doing right now is training the dog to come over here and play while I'm on the stream, which is maybe a terrible idea, but it's one of those things we'll have to fix, we'll have to work on as it comes. Sila, here we go. Come on, Sila, look what we got. Okay, let's see, going back here to read folks' replies. Black Skulls Murdum, also known as Denny, says the following. Let's see here.
Like Wednesday, still sitting with some self-judgment and an expectation that something more substantial needs to happen. Those feelings aren't too overwhelming, and I am able to sit with them and feel them come and go. Additionally, attempting to label anything individual feeling versus overall awareness triggers a lot of mental talk and generally speeds up and jumbles my thought stream.
Interesting. Okay, so Denny, you're getting to a place where you can understand some more advanced instruction. Can you, what's called, recycle the reaction? That's what I want to know. Come here, Sila. Every time I try to turn on the dog cam, what are you doing? Every time I try to turn on the dog cam, Sila runs away, and then every time she gets here, okay, come on, Sila, let me get back and turn the dog cam on. I got to hit the button. But then she plays so hard I can't turn the dog cam on. There we go. Okay. Hopefully this is helpful for understanding meditation. So if it's not, just tell me and I'll stop. I'll be a better streamer. Okay, so recycle the reaction. What happens when you try to take that judgment and then consider it a particle? It's a piece of the overall experience. So there's that particle, and then I also wanted something else you were saying. Overall experience triggers. So the mental chatter that moves up, or even the part of you that can tell this mental speed is increasing, or this kind of thing, to detect that among all the other sensations. What is that? What's that experience like? That's what I'd be curious. And you can do it right now if you want to just take a minute and do it and give me a report on what happens if you try that. Okay, so Exalted says,
Question I hear: losing the sense of self or awakening for the first time can put you out of commission for an undefined amount of time. Kind of scared of that because I'm busy with studies right now and can't really afford to go crazy or something. Any advice?
Yes. Okay, perfect. Great question. I would say, okay, let's lose the dog cam for now. Oh, look at that little schnuff. How can you question whether that dog has Buddha nature or not? Look at her. Oh, what is she doing? Chasing her tail? Oh no, she's looking at privates. Okay, we'll just this is the censored. We'll censor that version. So yes, okay. So we want to really be aware of that. You know, awakening experiences can be very disruptive at times, especially from what you're describing. I think you might be sort of experiencing some of the disruptive nature of either meditation or trauma. You right now, I would encourage stability, especially right now if you're busy. That might literally mean this is the extreme end. So well, maybe I'll get to that. I was going to say, and I'll talk about it, is maybe not meditate. So, but we'll get there. We'll lead up to that. So, the first thing is to do what we're doing in the practice is see what your if there's overwhelm arising, not letting it get past like a level 3, because it doesn't know how to jump from there. It just jumps up to 11. So just noticing at the beginning, making adjustments you need to allow yourself to be chill, even if that means opening the eyes or moving the body or stopping meditating. You want to train yourself that it can trust you. It doesn't need to scream at an 11 because to get your attention. It can talk to you at a 2 and you can be like, okay, cool, I hear you, I'm going to make an adjustment. It needs to know that, your system needs to know that it can trust you. That part of you needs to know that it can trust you, so it doesn't have to yell. So that's one thing, is to listen to that. The next thing I would say is do everything you can that brings stability. So what doesn't bring stability? Well, I would not suggest, getting into or exploring intravenous narcotics or, freebasing cocaine. I've found from what I've heard in the world and from people, other friends of mine who've recovered, those will introduce a great deal of instability into your life. So just a pro tip: don't use hard drugs. Basically it's sort of obvious in a way, the things that can mess up our lives and the things that can bring stability. What brings stability, right? Often talking to people, connecting. Hey, how are you? How are you doing? Just connecting on a very basic level. Having a supportive community that we can talk to about what's happening in our experience. Therapy, exercise, good sleep, all these different things that together can make us be more stable. So that's what you really want to be going for, whether you're having a meditation difficulty or you're having trauma or any of these things. It's stability. That's the key. Black Skulls Mortem gifted, Denny gifted a tier 1 subscription to Scott Nesman. Thank you so much, Denny. That was very kind of you. Very appreciated. So if anyone doesn't know, you can subscribe to this channel. Not only can you subscribe to this channel and it supports us, you can do it for free if you have Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime and you're not doing the thing with subscribing to this channel, listen. I think that's it. Is that how that? No, what's my, is it sub? There it is. That's the link you follow. That supports the channel. I always feel like when I have these services like Amazon Prime, whatever, I want to exploit every penny out of them that I can, because they're exploiting every penny out of me that they can. So, bringing stability to the system is very important. Finding whatever you need. Oh my goodness, Nate subscribed. Thanks so much, Nate. Very appreciated. This might be our most subscriptions in one stream for a while. This is 2 people. Very kind. Hype train, choo choo. I don't understand the hype train thing. Someone has to explain this to me. If there is a hype train going, let me know, because I don't know anything about it. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's appeared. Okay, so cool. So, beep pop, brings stability. Sometimes meditation brings stability, and sometimes we can get confused because meditation is supposed to bring stability, and it's not. It's bringing a kind of turbulence in our practice. It feels almost as though it can at times feel like reality's out of phase. Like we're used to things sort of being like this, and now they're like this, and it's sort of like this thing of I don't know, something's off, something's not quite right. Maybe emotionally it feels like there's yuckiness or something's off, this kind of thing. So we should look for that, and then from there try to bring stability. One way to bring stability is to practice through it. Another way to bring stability is potentially to pause and step back, especially if we're in a place where we need to be relatively stable. We have children, we're doing school, whatever. We want to look for meditations that will bring us more stability. Doggy's back. Doggy's back. Another way to do that is to do nurture positive meditation. So these are meditations that are where we're cultivating something, cultivating something that leans towards positive. So this could be as simple as, doing a loving kindness practice where we say, I love you to ourselves and to the world. Okay, people really do let me know if this is just the growling of the dog is too annoying, because I can understand. As long as it's entertaining, that's the key. Entertaining and informative. Oh, there we go, transition. So a loving kindness practice, and there's a lot of these in our guided meditation library. If you do exclamation point links, I'll do that for you now. Our second YouTube channel, it didn't type. Okay, somebody else wants to do exclamation point links. It'll show us the 3 links. The second YouTube channel is where we have all the playbacks for these. There's a lot of nurture positive meditations there. Kind awareness. Look for ones that say kind awareness. Look at ones that maybe say the multiple self model, because those are all ways to nurture positive, to increase our stability or increase whatever. So anything we do in life in general that increases stability or increases something towards our values is considered a nurture positive practice. So for instance, with the dog, right? Here's for instance with the nurture positive. If I train her in any way whatsoever, that's moving towards an ideal. So that's a nurture positive practice. Right now, I might be training her to want to interact with me while on the stream, which is probably a bad idea, because when we're meditating, this is going to be much less fun. But we'll see. Okay. Nick says, my mind seems to be doing almost anything to avoid meditation. Interesting. That's also sometimes an indication of the same exact material that I'm talking about, this turbulence. Starts flashing images of all my greatest sense pleasures, like all the time. How sneaky. Yeah, exactly. Going home for the weekend. Thanks for today, folks. Great to see you, Nick. And yeah, just again, notice those sensations within the context of all the other sensations. That's a great way to break through that tendency. Ow, the dog definitely bit me. Awesome. What else, folks? Anything else before we slide away? I'm trying to get the framing of this thing right. Okay, it's all over here. This is where the good stuff is. Okay. See, look, get it. Come on. There we go. Now we understand the frame. So, yeah, anything else before we dip away into the evening? Anything else, folks? What else is happening for you? Scott Nesbitt says, damn, dog cam, best thing to happen on the stream. Oh, good. I'm glad people like it. I didn't know that people would like it. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully we can also get dog cam where she's not just growling, because she's pretty cute just hanging out. Maybe we should get a little table here that she can sit on and rest and just be a little mascot. That'd be fun. Should I bring this chair over? Sela, come sit on this chair. I know it's scary because it's not like a thing that you're used to. Okay, that's pretty good. Come here. I gotta pick you up. You're not gonna want to be picked up. Come here. She's very cautious. She's a very weary dog, or leery dog. Come here. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna get her on this chair. She knows if she comes close enough, I'm going to pick her up, and for some reason she doesn't want to be picked up right now. Come on, baby. Maybe it's because she knows I'm going to put her on her slidey-ass chair. Unfortunately, she's smart enough to get down from here. Dog cam, what's up? Sela, what's over here? What's up? What's this? Over here. Oh, wait, that camera's over here. What's over here, Sela? Look. Look at the camera. Okay, anyway. Dog cam. Can't go too deep with that. All right, exactly. So, oh, sorry, you had some other comments here. Thanks for the advice. I'll try what you said. Maybe I'll just do some more informal meditation instead of formal. Yeah, you can do meditation in life. That's a great way to... she doesn't like the chair. It's not very soft. Okay, folks, let's get rid of this dog cam for now. Folks, lovely to be here with you as always. I want to see something real quick as we're having a little fun. Oops, mistake occurred. Anyone else? Any of our friends streaming now? No, okay, no one's streaming that we know of. So we're going to just do our lovely little wish. I have a wish for you folks. So wish for you is in this particular moment to hear and anticipate this groovy music that's coming. And my wish for you is in this particular moment, whatever particular sensations are arising, whatever that is, the sense of self, the sense of world, allow the mind to include a larger context, all of the other sensations there. Notice that that larger context has certain attributes. It's quiet. Someone mentioned the quietness. Sometimes it can feel very still or spacious. These are qualities that are valuable. They are not our problems. They are our problems in the larger context. So the Buddha used to say that if you put a teaspoon of salt in a cup of water, it's undrinkable. But if you put it in a lake, you can hardly tell the difference. So we're developing our awareness of the lake of experiencing. So to do that now in this particular moment, to do that as we're sensing now is very powerful indeed. So my wish for you is in this particular moment right now, right here, is to open up to the larger context of experiencing, to welcome that in and feel welcomed by it. This is the lovely thing, is that over time we can actually train the mind to treat this wide open, welcoming awareness not as just a place we can visit, not even just a kind of home that we can return to, but actually as me, as I. This is actually our true self. Very powerful training indeed. So lovely to be here with you. Thank you everyone for joining us. We got some lovely subs today. That was very kind of you to support the stream in that way. Much appreciated. So folks, as always, practice well. Have fun. Take care of each other. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye.